So the first thing is, if the alarm goes off, it's not a drill, it means the building's on fire. If that happens, Keith will open the door again to let you out, I promise. In which case, go to the other side of the road, gather there. Joe will then run around heroically to check that you're all safe, and we'll count how many of you are on the other side of the road. It hasn't happened yet, but we have to warn you of these things. The second thing is, we're in a storeroom. We've got a number of storerooms here. I'll tell you in a moment why you've come to see a storeroom. We try and keep it tidy, but there are many things that you could fall over, hit your head on, catch your thing.
This is a 5.5-inch howitzer. This is a 6-pounder field gun. The difference between them is that howitzers fire at a certain angle, higher, so they can shoot over things like obstacles, woods, grooves inside that barrel. Yeah, it's the first rifled steel breech loading gun in use by the British Army. The very first one. As opposed to bronze with these two here, this is made of steel. It's an inner tube which has been wrapped with wire tightly, and then an outer casing shrunk on top of it to increase the pressure. Now, if you can imagine, you're under fire and you're trying to feed that down a groove that twists inside the barrel. That, you know, not funny being a gunner at that point. You know, you're really going to struggle. So, pack gun, screw gun, mounting gun. Lots of different names, all do the same thing essentially. The beauty of this, bearing in mind the mule weight concept we're looking at, this barrel comes apart. It actually splits into two. In here, there's an interrupted screw in there. What that means is if you turn the barrel a quarter turn, it will come apart and actually release itself. So you can then load that tube onto one mule, then the rear end, you can load onto another one, and then wheels, and then the trail. 6 mules, they reckon, could carry this particular weapon. Okay. For any of you advanced in years enough to remember the roll that, it looks as though it's been once again hooked up with Macaro and bolts and heaven knows what else. But it's you know, a nice reminder of how simplistic warfare can be sometimes. Only got a range of about 450 yards. So it's this was designed with the lessons of the Boer War in mind. The Boer War came as a massive shock to the British Army. They had nothing to compare with this, absolutely nothing. And the fact that the Boers, who were essentially farmers, they were able to get across the country far quicker, faster, what they could do. At the end of the First World War, they looked at rationalising the way that these guns function. Can we improve the way that, one, we supply ammunition on, and can we improve on the way they function? And what they designed was this gun here. This is the 18-pounder, this is a Mark 6 version. They actually come up with a Mark 4/5, which did exactly the same thing. It essentially has the function of a field gun as well as a howitzer. So they've combined both roles. All modern artillery as we know it now, like the AS-90, the PZ-2000 and so on and so forth, but have been used in the funerals of King Edward VII, King George V, George VI, and Queen Mary of Teck, as well as a number of other non-royal personages, shall we say, and they've been used very recently in a TV show, and that was in the Netflix series The Crown, this particular gun here, and they left the flag on top as well, because it probably looked better on there rather than a bland, empty coffin. This flag is the flag of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, signified by the white border around the royal standard, indicates the wife of the sovereign. Okay. Right, moving down. There's a couple of computers here with various additional bits of information if you want to have a look at those. It'll give you more info on older guns and some of the fueling guns and how they function. Moving on to a different sort of technology now. This is the the very first anti-tank gun to enter service, a dedicated anti-tank gun. This is a 2-pounder, introduced in 1938, designed in around about 1935-36. In its day, it was the best anti-tank gun in the world. 1941, it was obsolete, and it couldn't really compete with anything else. The Panzer III and Panzer IV, thicker armour, and it was completely ineffective. One of the main downsides to this, they made so many of them, they put a load of the ones that went in use as anti-tank guns into tanks. And of course they then suffered because they couldn't answer the firepower of the German tanks. So they were sharing. But a very good gun in its own right. They mounted these things onto flatbed trucks, so they had a bit of mobility in the Western Desert. And at a place called Sidi Rezeh, which is close to Tobruk. A Victoria Cross was won by a George Ward gun, strange name for a gun, and he unfortunately died. This thing was transported via a Horsa glider. So with a jeep and a Horsa glider, you can get this gun in there without any major issue at all. We firmly believe that it was deployed on D-Day on the eastern side of the 5 landing beaches to support the airborne guys who came in earlier when they initially dropped by parachute. These came in a glider later. 53rd Air Landing Regiment, they had this particular gun. They became 33rd Air Landing Regiment, and then the current 7 RHA, which are the parachute gunners as a standout.
That's the aircraft analogies. This actually is a B2, field standard B2. The first ones, obviously, most people remember, were the field standard A, which had a major limitation in as much as it was point and shoot. You had to be able to see your target to hit it. So it was overcast, dark or whatever, then you couldn't deal with it. This problem was highlighted in the Falklands, also the fact that we got our drills completely wrong. As designed as an airfield defence, it's all very well saying, right, there are 4 kits, you go out 1k, 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 the airfield's generally a flat. The problem with this is, the declination is only a few degrees, so when you're down in San Carlos and you go 1k that way, 1k that way, you leave a great big hole on which the missiles can't get down and you can't see, you can't get at them, hence the problems they had. So after that, they came up with this with the field standard B, which had a radar tracker, which was basically borrowed from the Navy, from there.
This wasn't even on display in the last museum because the collection is so huge and so there's just so much stuff in it. A piece like this, I don't think you can see this anywhere else in the country, wasn't even on display. This was in the storeroom. And so we thought, let's get this out. It's now on display to the public for free. What is Izzy going to tell us about this?
Yes.
Over to you, Izzy.
Yeah, so this is just a small selection of the trench art that we've got. Very, very quick talk, because I know we haven't got very long. Trench art, we tend to think of it as being dating from the First World War. And some of this trench art is from the First World War, but it's an ongoing thing. Some of these pieces are much more recent than that. You can tell if a piece of trench art is genuine because this is a shell, and underneath it has the date of when it was actually when it was